I'm Abby Tuckner, and I am presenting this session called Anyone Can Code. How is everyone doing today? How's Minibar going? Woohoo! Okay, so I first wanted to address why I am here. Because you're probably thinking, well, that's kind of strange. It's a little different. What is an 18-year-old girl doing here presenting at a tech conference? And the best answer that I can offer you is that I need to be here, and I am here to spark the discussion of a couple of massively important issues right now. The first one is the current state of education, and the second one is diversity in our industry, in the creation of technology. Okay. And second question, how did I get here? And that's kind of a long story, but I'd like to say that it's funny how the course of your life can change in a single day. For me, that day was She's Geeky, last February, actually. It's an unconference, and it's for women only, and it was hosted at the Minneapolis Library. There's a session there on tech bootcamps, and I don't know if you know what they are, but they are programs that are designed to train students for full-time jobs as entry-level developers. And several women talked about them, and they also talked about the careers that they started after they had graduated from them. And at the time, I was a senior in high school, and I had no idea what I would be doing with my life beyond high school, really. But what I did know is that my econ professor was fully convinced that I was going to drown in student debt by the time that I finished college. And fully aware of this, I decided that a promising career after a boot camp sounded like a great deal. So that day, I went home and I told my parents, yo, I'm not gonna go to college next year. And you can imagine how they responded to that. And you see, this is where I got really insanely lucky, because my dad is a developer, and after mulling over the idea of it all for a few weeks, he was really supportive, and he understands the industry, and he knew that I would find a job with the experience that I would gain from a boot camp. Now, breaking the news to my teachers and my classmates and my close friends, that was an entirely different matter. After experiencing a few negative reactions, I took to lying, even though I'm truly an awful liar. I had been accepted into the School of Science and Engineering at the U of M, and so I told a lot of people that I would be studying computer science. After all, it was a partial truth, right? And what I faced was the instinctual reaction of fear. They asked me, aren't you afraid you won't succeed? Aren't you afraid you won't find a job? Aren't you afraid that no one will think that you're qualified to do that work? And at first I believed them, and I was still pretty unsure about what I was going to be doing. I wasn't, I was still worried about what I would be doing, so I ended up, taking my time, not making a total decision, not telling which college I wanted to go to right away. And finally, I just realized that I was strong enough and I was sure enough in my own abilities to follow through with my dream that I started to respond, no, you know what? I'll be the first one of my class to get a job after I graduate from boot camp. And I was. So in March, I applied for Dev Boot Camp in Chicago. I was accepted, and I went to the class that started in September. I started doing coding tutorials online in the spring. I started reading tech books. I completed the course pre-work over the summer, and I graduated from the program at the end of the fall. I began my internship with Software for Good in early December. And what I really want to impress on people is that a 4-year degree doesn't have to be the norm anymore. Although college is generally referred to as a 4-year experience, at public university it is now taking students 5 or 6 years to just get a degree. And at public schools, less than a third of students graduate on time. And the longer it takes for students to graduate and get a job, the more years they spend not working. Delayed graduation at public schools also affects taxpayers who are subsidizing education. And it's understandable that students don't graduate on time. They're trying to juggle internships, they're trying to juggle part-time work, they're trying to fulfill degree requirements. And of course, there are a lot of people who are very indecisive, and they decide to change majors maybe several times through their college experience. And that can honestly be a very expensive decision. And I can tell you from experience that I have a lot of friends who have no idea what they want to do, but they're in college and they're sort of just going through, they're fulfilling the credits that they can. But the longer that you stay undecided, the more money you're going to end up spending because you don't know what you're pursuing. And also, when I was at boot camp, a lot of the people who were there had just graduated from college and they found themselves still underqualified to land a position, an entry-level position in the field that they were interested in. And right now, students are drowning in debt. In 2008, 29 million Americans had at least one outstanding student loan. And right now, the number has risen to 40 million, and this number is just getting bigger. Nationwide student debt has been pushed to an all-time record of 1.2 trillion, an 84% jump since the recession. The average student loan debt is $30,000. And this is a statistic that I found, but I have to say, I think that that's for the people who are graduating now. But trying to imagine how the students that are going into college just this year, the debt that they'll be graduating with is going to be a lot larger than that, considering that $30,000 is about the average tuition and all of everything included for 1 year of college right now. And tuition prices are rising at about 3 times the rate of inflation. Instead of barely scraping by to pay off these massive loans, young people could be stimulating economic growth. They could be starting families. They could be buying houses. They could have the ability to pay their actual medical bills. For example, $83 billion in new home sales were lost last year because of student debt. So I have a few stories from people and their experiences that they've been going through with their student loans that I found on a website. I forgot, it's linked in my sources, but this person says they have a bachelor's degree and 10 years later they still have a lot of debt. I choose to work in the nonprofit sector because I'm an idealist and I care about helping people. I do help people, but I live paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to be wealthy. I just want to be debt-free. I want to save a little money and be able to afford an occasional vacation or save up to buy a home. Another woman says, I feel as though students are punished for pursuing higher education with no way out. Another person says, we're putting our young people into a trap from cradle to grave, and it's shameful. And I just want to say that the cost of a boot camp ranges from about $5,000 to $15,000, and the average initial salary of those who accepted full-time salaried roles after their boot camps is approximately $74,000 a year. And I can tell you, and I'm sure that a lot of you know, is that there are a lot of jobs out on the market right now. And there's a lot of space for growth in this industry. There's a lot of opportunity. It's just we need to start getting people to the point where they can be filling these positions more quickly. Okay. And this is just a nice Google search that you can go and do on your computer right now if you want to. And so when I was in high school, a lot of the counselors and the teachers, honestly, they were all like, you need to go to college. If you don't go to college, you're going to die or whatever. It's just going to be really bad for you out there and you can't make it. You need to go to college. And so we all kind of were in that mindset. And I think that it's clear that people are starting to realize that maybe this isn't the best way to be educated. Maybe there are alternative ways to find education and to find a place for yourself in the world where you feel like you're doing meaningful work without necessarily having to pay so much money for college, for education. So, going on, revamping the educational system. In the early 1900s, only 4% of the nation attended college. And I know things have changed a lot since the early 1900s, but college wasn't always the norm. When I was younger, I remember asking my little cousin what he wanted to be when he grew up. And without hesitation, he exclaimed, "A tiger." And at the time, I told him that's impossible. You can't be a tiger, you're a person. I bring this up because who was I to tell him what he couldn't be? Because what kids really want is to do something that they know brings them happiness. And for my cousin at the time, it was being a tiger. And what I do know is that everyone would like to feel happy, healthy, safe, appreciated for who they are, and appreciated for the work that they do. But with the state of education, I think we can agree fulfilling these needs is very difficult when you're living paycheck to paycheck, wondering if there will ever be a day where you're no longer paying off your student loans. And what we do know is that now, faster than ever, the job market is shifting. We have no idea what careers will look like years from now, so how do we begin to educate everyone appropriately for one? I think that education needs to become more flexible and also more financially accessible. One of the most popular TED Talks of all time right now is called Schools Kill Creativity. And as someone who just got out of school after spending years of being terrified of raising my hand and saying the wrong answer in front of a room full of my classmates, I can tell you I had to completely reteach myself how to think to begin solving problems like an engineer for the job that I do now. Life is truly the most rewarding when I have the ability to be creative. I believe that everyone has a need for a creative outlet, a need to be artistic and clever with their specialized skills. The people that I share my life with are the happiest when they have a purpose and when this purpose allows them to be expressive and masterful in their capabilities, whatever that might be, in and outside of technology. I also believe that anyone can learn anything if they have the determination and the resources to do so. The most valuable trait of humanity is our capacity for creation. Based on my love of the arts and music, I truly would not have expected myself to end up in such a technical field. But what I've realized, and what I believe all of you have come to realize too if you work in software development, is that software development is an art form. Each one of you has a distinctive creative process for solving the problems that you do on a daily basis. What I would like to see is a model of education that allows kids the space to pursue their genuine interests and practice creative problem solving. So, the next big problem. Women and minorities are underrepresented at the top of industries. Girls in our culture are taught right now that they should probably not take up too much space, that they should not be seen, or that they should be seen and look really pretty, but that they don't necessarily need to be heard. And this is such a large issue, diversity in general, that many companies have avoided commenting on the lack of diversity in their employees. A large number of tech companies, however, promote diversity in speeches while hiring relatively few women and minorities. If women have to act like men at the top, then equality will never be achieved. Professional women earn 73 cents to the dollar versus men. That's $333 of a weekly paycheck, which adds up to $17,000 per year. Women who work in computer and mathematic occupations make 84 cents to every dollar a man earns. That's $214 out of her weekly paycheck. And compare all of that to the overall national average of a woman earning 80 cents to every dollar, which I would say is a pretty expensive tax to pay for something that you can't necessarily or don't necessarily want to change about yourself. Let's see. In the mid-1980s, 37% of computer science majors were women. In 2012, 18% of bachelor's degrees were earned by women, and only 12% were computer science degrees. And I would say that right now, about 20% of tech employees at companies are women. The other percent, 80% men. That's a really, really huge difference. Another point is that women are the lead adopters of technology. Women in Western countries own the most tech devices. They use the internet 17% more than men, and they use their mobile phones more and use most social media sites more often. So women are seriously connected to the technology that is out there right now, but if it's all technology that is predominantly produced by men, then how can it serve them well? 56% of women in technology leave their employers mid-career. And I think that this is a really important thing to realize, because women are leaving tech when they're unhappy with their work environment, not necessarily because they've lost interest in the work. Okay. The technology that we interact with every day has a huge impact on our lives. We cannot continue to have one of the most powerful industries run without women and without diversity. This isn't good for technology, it isn't good for the customers, it isn't good for our society, and it definitely is not good for business. So, how do we make tech appeal to a diverse crowd? And more so, a big question in this day and age is how do we generally empower women and people of every race if we would like to see a world where power exists in balance across the demographics? And this is what I believe to be true, that knowledge is power. This new model of education that I experienced got me on a new career path very quickly, and with all of the knowledge that I have gained through my training so far, I have also gained the power of influence and the ability to make my voice heard. The answer is encouraging diverse individuals, a promising path into this industry, a lot of support, with excellent and accessible training programs and junior developer positions that are abundant and somewhat easily attainable to them. Think about it. We go to Stack Overflow every day and we search the internet near and far for answers to our questions. Every day we find ourselves reaching out to colleagues and asking for advice to see if they have any experience with the technology that we're working with. Our applications wouldn't be possible with all of the open source and free technologies that we've built them up on top of. In this career where sharing knowledge is highly valued and is the basis of success and is necessary for work every day, I can't see a better industry to begin shifting the paradigm. So, I am paying it forward. If the women of She's Geeky hadn't shared their stories with me, I wouldn't be here sharing my story with all of you. I'm here to show girls and boys that I am here, I am making it, and because I'm here, they can be here too. I believe that the world needs more people doing work that they're passionate about. I'm incredibly fortunate to have discovered this for myself at such a young age, and my hope is to help create an educational system that allows everyone, no matter their gender or race, to do the same thing. So, and that's my sources, and yeah. Thank you. So at this point, I just kind of wanted to open the floor for discussion and questions. And yes, Allison. I know what type of school you went to. I don't think you mentioned that you went to one in Chicago, right? Yeah, I went to Dev Boot Camp in Chicago, and it is 9 weeks intensive on site, and then previous to that, you have a few months of like prep work. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
And I was wondering, what do you recommend companies and organizations can do to support women and keep them in the workplace?
And that's a really difficult question to answer. I think that a good answer for that is just to, have a place that has more women, because when women, don't feel like such a minority, then they feel like they can be more expressive, they feel like they can actually speak their mind instead of worrying so much about what their colleagues are thinking about them and wondering like if their colleagues think that they're, good enough to be here or whatever. Yeah.
How did you know that you wanted to do this at such a young age? I mean, did you have exposure to coding at all in high school?
I didn't have any exposure to coding in high school. The only thing really that I had exposure to was seeing my dad working in the industry and doing like web applications, mobile applications, but I didn't really know how any of it worked. And I didn't really know that it was something that could be accessible to me so quickly. Like I didn't understand that I could be making these things, in less than a year if I just had decided that that's what I wanted to learn how to, learn what to do. So, and that's really why I want to be speaking and letting other people know about it, because that's really all it is. You just have to let people know. People just need to hear about it. Yeah.
What programs that are free or websites or resources would you recommend using for a program?
So I think most people have heard of Code Academy, but that is a really good website. It's free. They have a ton of great tutorials, and I love that place a lot. Khan Academy also has a lot of really good courses. If you're into Ruby, I think that there's like Ruby Monk or something, and that one was really, really good when I was starting out with Ruby. I liked it a lot. But one place, I think they have some free tutorials, is Code School. Code School is a bomb. I love Code School. Like, you have to pay for their best ones, but they have a lot of really good tutorials that are also free.
I'd also recommend codekata.com.
Oh yeah, Codekata. Yeah, Codekata is sweet.
Which isn't a tutorial. It gives you like a regular daily set of exercises, or you can go through them at your own pace, but it just presents you with a programming problem to solve
Yeah.
as an exercise, and they have them from very simple all the way up to really, really complex problems.
Out of curiosity, how many other women were in your boot camp?
So that was interesting. Um, yeah, so it was mostly guys that I spent those 9 weeks with. There were 4 women in my class, and ahead of me, like the 2 classes ahead of me, I think that there were about 2 or 3 per class. The exciting thing is that Dev Bootcamp did just have one group that was predominantly women. I think that there were 15 people in the group total, and I think that 12 of them were women. So that was really amazing. They were the Bison, and they graduated the end of January. But it's still very, like, the people coming into these boot camps are still, there are a lot of guys. And so I would just like to be able to get out there and inspire girls to go and do the same thing. And I think that if we can get more younger women going into it, then they will feel more comfortable. Because I know that if I had been in like a boot camp where there were more women around, there were more younger girls, I think that it would have been easier for me to get through it. Yeah.
They're far, but there's a boot camp for women in Seattle called the Ada Developers Academy.
Yes.
It's all women, and there's a Hackbright Academy in San Francisco that's also all women.
Yeah.
Mother Coders in San Francisco too.
Mother Coders? Cool.
Pride, I'm part of Pride Digital Academy. We're starting classroom on Monday. We're 11 out of 20 of us are women.
Nice.
So they're really making an effort.
Yeah.
How competitive they are.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much more interest than the size. Like the only competition aren't enough.
Yeah.
Do you work with a lot of women?
No, I don't. I love the team that I work with. They're all really, really awesome, and they're great mentors, but there is one other woman who is a developer with us right now, and she's actually just contracting, so I don't see her a lot. Yeah.
I'm wondering if you hadn't had a father who was a developer, what types of things do you think would have motivated your peers to pursue the path that you took?
Yeah, and that's another thing that I don't know, because I had an into the community, which was really, really helpful and really encouraging, and that's through that experience. That's what I hope to be for other women, is that, like, yes, like, look, I am, an example of someone who is successful in this career path, and you can do it, and I will support you. So yeah, that's my main hope.
Did your just out of curiosity, like, so did your high school happen to offer APCS or digital electronics or anything like that?
They had a few like programs for computer stuff, but I wasn't into it, and I'm sure that they were mostly boys that did them. In fact, I mean, I can think of the people who would take the classes, but they were never like, like, come and do this. Like, it's cool for girls to do, like, it was just, there wasn't the culture around it at school. Yeah.
So you said something briefly about wanting more out of the education system, or different things out of it. I'm wondering now, like you've done K-12, you've done a boot camp, what do you want out of your education now and in the future, in school or out of school?
That's a big question.
Answer it as you see fit. I just like your take on that.
Well, I think that right now the best education that I can get is doing things, learning things hands-on, learning them like through doing the work that I do. And then also I like to, for fun, I like to take like online CS courses because there are a lot of free resources that are really, really good out there. And yeah, I think that it's important to get that. But I have a ton of different interests. Like I'm also a visual artist, and I would love to study design, and I would love to get more into like the front end of technology. And you know, like I'm also a violinist, and I want to continue to study music. So there are a lot of different things, but I think it's just really coming into the idea that you can ultimately take control of your education, and you don't necessarily need to like go to a university and take all of these, like try to get a degree, whatever. You can sort of think like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is a skill that I want to learn, and so how can I go about finding the right mentors and the right communities to be a part of to learn these things effectively. Yeah.
What do you think you could tell your peers, other girls your age, about why they would want to do this?
Let's see. Well, there are a lot of reasons to do it. But it's just a lot of fun, and it's just like it's something that you can learn, and then like it's like immediately you can build something new. And if you can think of an idea, you can make it. You know, like that's the amazing thing about it is that like anyone can take technology right now and come up with some interesting thing that they like because maybe they're interested in like snowboarding, and they're thinking of a problem that no one else has really tried to tackle with technology yet, and they'll say, okay, I want to do that, and like how do I fix this? Like it's just amazing to me how much creativity people can bring into technology from having a bunch of different backgrounds. And I think that the more diverse of a group of people that we give the power to like start working with technology, like the more amazing things we can just make, because you know those are things that we haven't thought of yet because we don't have that background.
I think that's the missing piece. I think that for a lot of women, and probably for sure for younger girls, like they're like, is this black box of math too scary?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's like it's not that scary. And once yeah.
How do we get everyone to ask that question?
Yeah.
Not scary.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that a lot of that is going to be up to like women just like showing, you know, like sitting down with girls and like having them do a little bit of coding, like whatever. I think that that's really important, is to establish yourself as a mentor. And like yeah, like one time, I don't know if anyone's played the game Monument Valley in here. Yeah, that is like a great game. It's such a good game. It is like a puzzle game. It's really beautiful. But ultimately, like when I'm playing it, I'm like, wow, this is kind of like engineering, because you kind of just have to try stuff out until something works. And I sat down with like one of my younger cousins, and I had her like sort of watch me play it, and then slowly she kind of learned how to do it herself, and then she started solving the challenges. And I thought to myself, well, why don't we like educate girls how to code like this, like make it into more of a game? Because she was at the end, like she was solving the problems as fast as I was, and she was really good at it. She just had to sort of be shown that she could do it, and she had to watch me do it first. Yeah.
I just wanted to piggyback on that. When I was in high school, I had no interest in programming either. I mean,
Yeah.
I built MySpace layouts, but that kind of code, but not that related.
Yeah.
Actually, the biggest thing for me was not talking about actually like coding and doing the job. It was, I had a friend who kept showing me things that he had built. He's like, or like talking to me about ideas that he had, and then like a couple days later, he would show me the app, and it was being like the actual product you can make and how you can turn an idea into a thing, more than even just like the fun of the problem solving. So I think
Yeah.
that's another thing that really shows in the girls is, hey, look, I had this idea and built this thing.
Yeah, definitely just getting examples of like what the process looks like, going from an idea to like a tangible thing that you actually make. Yeah.
I also have a question.
Oh yeah.
So, at your boot camp, did they go over anything like any like math or writing skills or anything separate from the actual coding, or was it like all
It was pretty much the 100% program because I mean it was designed to like take you to being a web developer in 9 weeks, you know. So it was very focused on just coding sort of stuff, but it did encompass math because you have to, you know, you have to do algorithms, right? You have to solve, like we had to solve Sudoku puzzles with Ruby, which is hard, which is math, and like calculate the Fibonacci sequence with, you know, like a line of code or whatever in Ruby, you know, something like that. So, Casey.
Have you thought about, or are you studying and doing anything other than coding and learning about programming? Are you working on, other than the violin, obviously, are you working on other sort of liberal artsy type things?
Um, well, I mean, I would call this kind of something that was a liberal arts thing to do. So, I mean, I wrote like a blog post for our company, which was fun, and then also I put together this presentation, which I would consider kind of like an Englishy thing to do. But yeah, I mean, I still like to read a lot of books. I still like to treat myself like I'm in school a lot. So, you know, like whatever that means, like I'll go to work, I make sure that I practice the violin, I'll like study some math, or I'll do comp sci, or I'll like read a few articles about like science, and yeah, I keep a journal if that counts as writing. I like to write a lot every day. But yeah, I don't know. I think that it's just kind of like breaking the normalized idea of education into like education is kind of just learning more about the world around you, whatever kind of form that takes. Yeah.
Can I just hang on what you just said, Dr. Casey, which was awesome. I want to put in a bit for software development, kind of the ultimate liberal arts, because
Yeah.
in the course of asking questions about the world and forcing to be that specific as programming forces you to be that specific about something. We do reflection, we learn about other people and how they think, we integrate design and prose and all of the problems of the world, and we turn them into something hopefully beautiful and very, very concrete. That process, I can't think of anything that's more liberal arts, and it breaks my heart that the joy of doing that is kept from anyone because there's this fear of, oh, code, bad.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for everything you say.
Yeah. I mean, I think learning to code helps you to solve other problems in your life, because you realize like when you get to coding, it's kind of like, well, life is kind of like coding. Like there are problems, and there are like a million different solutions to the problem, and depending on what experiences you've had in your life, you will approach the solution differently than someone else will. And that's a really good thing, right? Because the best solution doesn't come from one person. It comes from a lot of different people with a lot of different experiences. Yeah.
More of a statement than a question, but just sort of hitting off of what the previous gentleman said is that you've taken a reverse. You didn't go to college and build up that debt you were describing earlier, right? You've taken a course that allows you to get a good, decent job. Now you're responsible with that amount of money that you're making, and you tuck some of that away. You could utilize some of that to maybe take some selective courses to build out some of these other areas if you
Yeah.
wanted to, or
Yeah.
choose not to, whatever. But it seems like that's something that can be thought about as well in this idea, right? The way to get into a good field, and very rewarding field, but also, put yourself in a good position to then go from there to something else if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I've definitely got into this path so that I could maybe further pursue my love of music. I'd like to learn how to build a violin. I guess that's a thing that you can do here in St. Paul. So, so I don't know how much that would cost, but I think that that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I really just think that it is smart to get yourself into a place where you can sort of finance your own education as you go, instead of sort of like digging yourself into a hole and then like just hoping that you can get a job to start climbing back out.
You basically made your education agile.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So those of us who are in a position of hiring and would like to see some change, some of the things that I bumped into are, I've got an organization that will say, hey, we really want to focus on, smart creatives, and we want to start changing the way we hire, yet the first weird question in an interview tends to be a computer sciencey problem to solve.
Right.
And so I'm just wondering if what your thoughts are, you and the rest of the group, on what makes an interviewing process more approachable, and what traits are you looking for, or would you suggest that people should look for to broaden that? And then lastly, I need some help trying to change the shape of that in my own organization so that I can tell people, well, no, we don't need that kind of data on this person because we're going to build something around it.
Right.
So just how do we change that? And I mean, that's a huge question.
I just got here, man. I don't know. Like,
As well as some of the other folks that we've hired at Software for Good is we should be pairing.
yeah,
Right off the bat,
that's a
also
good.
understand how that person works. It's not about like, do they know this obscure thing that I learned over here?
Yeah.
It's more about, can we find that together?
Yeah, we also do more pairing interviews, and it's also a two-way street. Like the candidate also learns what it's like to work in that team with those developers. The pop quiz kind of questions, the candidate doesn't really learn anything about the environment they're going into. So it's very much like a one-way information stream. But pairing, you kind of both learn more about what the job is going to be like.
Then you've tried taking the computer out of your interview question, just solve a problem.
Yeah, I think that's
Honestly, you can
interesting.
walk from one place to another. It doesn't involve computers. Buckets, spoons.
If you let your candidate do the problem at home, you open up to all sorts of learning and work styles. Because you only care about the problem. If you make them whiteboard, you've eliminated 90% of intelligence of people. Because you need to remember syntax, you don't need to remember a library. You Google that stuff on a day-to-day basis. So there's not much that can gain from sources other people inform if you don't have an audience when that's not part of the job to do.
Right.
Yeah, and at the nerdery, we have the code challenge basically, which is basically take home, solve this problem, and your second interview is basically discussing your solution. So whether or not you get accepted, a lot of times we have applications that we know we're not going to accept this, but we still bring them in, kind of discuss the code with them, talk it through, and kind of point out areas of improvement. Maybe you can apply again at a later date, and that's
That's what we do. That's
yeah.
exactly what I would bring.
I would just take a step back from you interviewing. Just be aware when you make a job requirement that I don't know. There's some statistic about this, but like men will apply for jobs. They're only like a subset of things required for. But women,
Yeah. Yeah.
women are going to try to nail everything before they even
Yeah.
apply.
Well,
So
like,
before you have a job description that has like a whole list of requirements, just try to nail the important ones and look for the passion to learn, the passion to follow through with things they want to do or that they're interested in. Just look for passion and not necessarily requirements, because you're going to eliminate a lot of
Because if
people.
you eliminate your pool, then
You're not even going to see those people.
Yeah. This is, can I jump on what you just said? It's totally true. I teach and talk to my students about their interviewing experiences before and after. I have clearly seen women self-select out of jobs that they should have applied for because they took the requirements as hard constraints. I've also seen that happen during interviews. I hear about, well, they asked this technical question and I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything.
yeah.
But they didn't expect you to know the answer. They just want you to see how you think. The reactions diverge very clearly along gender lines to the too hard technical question. We men we're socialized to bluster our way through.
I know. I mean, like, I know that women do it, and I look at myself and I'm like, don't do that. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. Are you kidding me? Like, so.
But I think we
It's
can
not
turn
only
this around instead of
women,
saying to women,
more
don't do it. We can say to
and this
interviewers,
is a senior
make it
level
clear that
program. I
you'll
mean, we just
clear that you're asking an open-ended question, you don't expect them to know the answer, that you're looking to see
Yeah.
how they think, because that may not be understood. But that is often what interviewing questions are about.
I think it's all about making the process a little less intimidating and a little bit more just like, yeah, more comfortable. Try to make the people feel more comfortable and less like you're judging them so harshly, or like you're making, like make it very transparent, like what you want them to do, you know. Yeah.
I can just say one more thing back to some of these earlier points, but I started, so I have a 4-year degree in economics and Spanish, but I started at the school at UW-Madison in the School of Engineering, so I was pretty math and science oriented, and I quit my sophomore year, and the reason was I was like so sick of the ridiculous, dumbed down English classes. What is the deal? Like, I don't want to read this stupid article. Like, all my friends are reading these cool books that are smart and having these smart conversations about, real stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like all my peers in these engineering classes are like, yes, I can just like skim through this dumb article and then I can get my, credit. And I think that's where thinking about it as a liberal arts thing and not just this like super technical, weird, scary thing that has this terrible stigma that makes no sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Is that you don't necessarily, I mean, like my dad said before I started like getting into all of this, he said like some of the best programmers that he knew didn't even have comp sci degrees. It's more about how you've learned to solve problems in life, like how you learn to solve problems in code, Sorry, Ryan. Yeah.
So when I came out of college, I was 26, 27 when I got my first programming job. And I've been doing it for about 8 years now. I'm 32. I'm curious to see how you think your career will evolve since you're starting so young, and say 8 years from now, how do you think where do you think your skill set will be when you're say 26 or something?
So I'm an ambitious person. And like when I found out that like a unicorn is someone who does like Android and iOS and all of that, I was like, oh, I want to do that. So I think I might start there. But my goal is just to, I guess, since I started out learning Ruby and these like higher level languages, like things where like you don't have to worry so much about all of this like the stuff that's going on underneath. A lot of that has been abstracted away. I'd like to learn more about like the comp sci sort of stuff behind everything, how computers work, all of that. Like I'd just like to over time be able to learn and understand more about it. Yeah, I know. I do want to learn C. That is that and yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of what I'm interested in. But in the future, I guess it would be sort of in my interest to be in a position where I could like essentially hire women and like make a diverse team of people, whatever, But that's far off in the future, and we'll see where I go from here, and also be able to provide like support for younger women and young girls and boys and whoever, just be able to be there and say like, no, like you can do this. I did it a long time ago. You can do it. Anyone can do it. Like this is for you. It's for everyone. And let's just like learn how to make cool things. Yeah. Yeah, Dad?
So what are your plans to go to like high schools and go talk to prospective girls who can do boot camp?
I don't have any plans yet because I'm afraid that high schools would kick me out. Um, but I do know someone at the Roseville Library who wants me to do this presentation there and maybe do some sort of a demo. So, like starting there, I think that it's just getting out and getting used to public speaking. Yes, I don't know who.
There's a group in town called Advanced IT Minnesota, and they do these presentations at high schools called Tech It Out.
Okay, cool.
There's a guy, Russ Frankel, that kind of coordinates that stuff. You would be awesome for that. Like, seriously,
I would love to become involved with that.
I mentioned you and them in a tweet, so
Cool.
look
Good.
it up or we can talk afterwards.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Roseville Library, when is that?
I have no idea, but if you want, I don't know, like you can give me your email and I could let you know. I guess if anyone is interested in hearing from me in the future or has any like kids who want to come and do things, I guess you can come and get in touch. Yeah?
I just have a general question for you or for anyone else in the room. I've got 2 young kids, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so they're not school age yet, but they're going to be soon.
Yeah.
What is the current state of computer science education in K-12 public school?
It's somewhat non-existent, but it depends on where you go, I guess.
I spent a lot of time on that site last week, and I'm trying to volunteer with them, but haven't heard back.
Cool.
Rebecca runs that. She's awesome.
Yes, Rosie, sister. Hey everyone, this is my twin sister, Rosie. She's excited to meet all of you too. You're welcome.
I just graduated from high school too. And there's like some weak classes in high school programming. I didn't take any programming classes because I had friends that took it and were like, yeah, we just like watched the video every once in a while and we didn't really do anything, didn't learn a lot. Even like the AP programming courses are like bullshit.
Yeah. And I find it so interesting because there's so much free curriculum online. Like they could literally be like, okay, everyone, we're going to go to Code Academy today and we're going to do the like HTML, CSS course, you know? Like I did that over the summer in like a day. It was a horribly difficult day for me because it was like 8 hours, but you know, like you could do that. It wouldn't be that difficult. You could probably pass through that in a week and add a little bit of JavaScript on at the end. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, for sure. Did you?
So how big was your class and do you know like are all of them now employed or?
Okay, so my class was maybe like 25 people, and I think all of them have jobs. If I'm not mistaken. I think there are a couple of them who just haven't been like looking right now, but for everyone that I know who was like, I seriously need a job, has one. And so I'm really happy for all of them. We have like a little like, email thing going, and I hear about them occasionally. Yeah.
You just said they all have jobs. You didn't say careers. Do you feel like you now have a career?
I do have a career. I mean, like, yes, they have careers. They're all like entry level or like interns. It just kind of depends on like, by the end of the course, I would say that everyone was in different places just because like some people can't learn all of the curriculum as well as quickly. So you get hired in sort of a different way. But as far as I know, like everyone that I worked with, like we all just turned into coding people, and we were really excited to just start new careers. So yeah, I feel very much that I have a career now.
Were most of the people in your class the same age as you? Or
No.
were they already done with college, most of them?
Yes. Most of them were like, I would say average age 25, late 20s. So there were the next youngest people, there were 2 21-year-olds, and then everyone else beyond that was like 25 and up. And I think the oldest person there may have been like late 40s, early 50s. Yeah. So, my Twitter handle is seasaltandsun, and you can follow me on Twitter. And yeah, so that's about it. You can contact me there. I would love to hear from any or all of you. And yeah, I hope you have a great day at Minibar. Thanks for coming.